Om Om Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tamha Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vanshashibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhya Sarvopaplavarahitāh Prajnānaghanah Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi. Om Vedantartha Vibhasakaya Gurave Shantaya Sannyasine Nanavadi Nagendra Sanghapavaye Yogindra Vandyaya Cha Mohadvanta Divakaraya Bhagavat Pada Vidham Bibhrate Tasmai Bhashyakrite Namostu Satatam Purnaya Bodhatmane. Om Yasya Nishvasitam Veda Yo Vedebhyo Khinam Jagat Nirmame Tamaham Vande Vidyatirtha Maheshwaram. Vidyatirtha Maheshwaram. Om Vidyate Hridaya Granthihi Shidyante Sarva Samshayaha Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Tasmin Drishte Paravare. In knowing that which is higher than the highest, Paramapi Avaram Yasmat Sa Paravaraha. In knowing that Paravara, that which is higher than the highest, because that what is considered as highest achievement or attainment is the Hiranyagarbha Pada. When we have the division of Sadhya and Sadhanam, we have to clearly understand the relationship between the means and the end. In Sanskrit, the end is called as Sadhyam, and that through which the end is accomplished, those means are called as Sadhanam. So, we have, in order to attain Putra Vitta Loka, this is what is generally desired and considered by people or all of us as achievements, attainments. This is what is desired to be experienced. Putra Vitta Loka, progeny, wealth, and various achievements and experiences, pleasurable, pleasant experiences of this world as well as of the other world, of which most of the theologies would end up only in describing a pleasurable place called as the heaven, Swarga, every theology. And they have their own set of means. If one does this, then one will attain Swarga, etc. So we say that action of some kind is responsible for those attainments. Now that action would mean that it is karma. And this action then is of two types: a physically performed action, or something which is internally performed. Okay, even your mental action also becomes an action, and that the so karma and upasana are the sadhanas, and what is the highest that could be attained through karma and upasana is Hiranyagarbha Padam. Now, even if one attains that, it still is not liberation. It is still not seeing the pure self. So, in knowing the self, Paravara, which is higher than the highest, what happens? Karmani kshiyante. The karmas, because every karma is a seed for future birth. And every birth means it is a series of dukkham. No matter, even if you are born in a royal family, not just with a silver spoon in the mouth, perhaps a spoon, golden spoon with a diamond handle. It does not matter. With all these things, it still has dukkham. As Swami Hansananji would say, that it is a sequence, a series of dukkham, right? Right from the time that the jiva arrives in the womb of the mother, garbha dukkham, the dukkham experienced in the womb, then janma dukkham, the trauma of the birth, and then having taken birth, now separation from the mother, which is the first one, and that is the Viyoga Dukkham. Then the child is placed on that cold, what do they call it, that weighing scale, and the doctor welcomes it with slaps on the butts. So the lungs will open. So what is that? Her Sanyoga Dukkham. So it is a Dukkham because which is due to coming in contact with something. So Garbha Dukkham, Janma Dukkham, Sanyoga Dukkham, Viyoga Dukkham, and these continue coming in contact with something that is undesirable and being separated from something that is loved, that is wanted. And so then as he continues to grow, the person continues to grow. Now the dukkham comes in form of roga dukkham, some sort of sickness. If nothing is there, at least some problem with digestion, constipation will be there. After that, now there comes next one, jara dukkham. Now you find that your body has started, the energy, etc., has started depleting. And so advancing age is something that is threatening. And therefore, when we meet people, people say that, I'm not afraid of anything. Even if I have to die, I should die peacefully in sleep. Okay, like that people say. So jara dukkham. So this jara, the old age itself, is quite a quite a quite a misery. and then finally mrityu dukkham. So from janma to mrityu, the life is filled with this the dukkham, and there is some interruption in between with some flashes of sukham here and there, and that also this sukham is so temporary that it just comes only to leave a memory and make you even more miserable, because the darkness after the light is even more darkness. So thus, this is dukkham, 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 filled with it. And therefore, every karma, which is a seed of future births, is dukkham. But how will this karma be exhausted? Because the karma cannot be exhausted unless and until it gives its result. But once the karma is there, it is bound to give result. So there are only three ways in which the karma can be exhausted. One is by undergoing its result. The second one is by altering it through another karma. Okay, like taking some medicine. Now you already have eaten so much. Now you know acidity is bound to be there and it is going to upset your day, perhaps 2 days. Then what do? You take a medicine, no digestive some medicine, and then you. So there is another karma now done in order to rectify, in order to amend what was done. So there is the another karma also becomes responsible, and the third one is through knowledge, in knowing the self. So, and in knowing the self, it is not like some alteration, or it is not like undergoing that the karma phala, but it is kshiyante chasya karmani. The karmas are destroyed, burnt down. The seed is roasted. A roasted seed will not germinate to give its fruit. Like that, the karmas are roasted, done. Prakarma pravilapyatam chitibalan napyuttaraishvishatam prarabdham tvihbhujyatam parabrahmatmanah sthiyatam. So thus the karmas are gone. And then sarva samshaya, doubts are also dispelled, because a doubt is more painful. Doubt is more painful because the person really, if he goes to do this way, then he thinks the other was right. And if he does the other thing, perhaps the first one was right. And thus the person always remains in a state of conflict. And thus his decisions, his own actions are never 100% with him. So samshaya is a papa. Samshaya is a ghor papa. Then samshayas are also destroyed. Samshaya means sandeha, which means doubts, are also destroyed. Hridaya granthi, this hridaya granthi is also destroyed. This is all spoken as the avadhi of knowledge, as the upper limit of the knowledge. And when knowledge is like this, when the knowledge of the person is like this, not convinced, when the knowledge is like this, the person is now ready to take to sannyasa. Okay. His liberation after shedding this body is definitely there. No more future births and no more being trapped into misery after misery. So Videha Kaivalyam is there. But now he is asking what happens after the knowledge and before the death. That time frame is now for Jeevanmukti, and therefore the Vidvat Sannyasa has got this purpose. And so now we are describing the avadhi of Vidvatta. Now, in explaining this particular verse from the Upanishad, Vidyaranya Swami himself provided a small little note. He says, he explained what is the meaning of word, sorry, paravara. Paravara means that which is higher than the highest. What is highest? Hiranyagarbha padam. After which, I mean, and what is the self? That which is higher than what is considered to be the highest karma phala, and therefore, it is paravara. And in knowing this self as Brahman, what happens? Ha, hridaya. The word hridaya granthi is used. Actually, the word hridaya would mean buddhi, are not a complication or complex, the basic complex centered on which all other complexes keep on taking place. And as long as this basic, the mother of all problems, is there, till then, the problems, the complexes will keep on happening, keep on coming again and again, okay, in different forms. So this granthi, this knot, this complex is also destroyed. So now that explaining this Hridaya Granthi, he said the word Hridaya Granthi, he said, Sakshinaha Tadatmya Dhyasaha Anadya Vidya Nirmitatvena Grantivat Drida Sanshlesha Rupatvat Granthihi Iti Uchyate. Why this complex? Why this complex is called as Granthi, as a knot? Is why that particular word knot? Why this tangle is called as a knot is being told? Because this is sitting tight like a knot. Hey, when people go for mountaineering and all these places which are adventures, so the knots are extremely important. If the knot is little loose, the mountaineer will have a have an face an accident. And therefore the knot is something which is, even if the rope snaps, they can put it together into a knot and still climb the mountain safely. Then, like how the knot is strong, like that, this Hridaya Granthi, this confusion between the self and not self, Atma and Anatma, is Trida Samshlesha Rupatva. It is tight. It is extremely tight. And therefore, even if we understand that this is what is the nature of Atma, yet due to the habit, once again the person will be propelled in thinking that I am this body mind complex, I am the karta, I am the bhokta. It comes again and again, and therefore drida samshlesha rupatvat granthihi iti uchyate. But Atma and Anatma, they are totally different. And how can they, the self and that what is not the self, the seer and that which is seen, how can they be put together? How can they? Because the possibility of two things mixing together is there if they have something in common. But Atma and Anatma do not have anything in common, and yet this is happening. Why? So, how is that? So, this explanation is given as Tadatmya Adhyasaha. What is it? It is a superimposition, it is an identification, superimposed. Okay, it is a superimposed identification. Tadatmya Adhyasaha. So, there are two words, identification, and how is this identification? Superimposed identification. Okay, tadatmya and adhyasa. So now let us look at these two words. What is called as tadatmyam? Those who want to note it down, please keep your notebook and the pencil ready. Tadatmyam. What is tadatmyam? Here we give you a little definition. Bheda sahishnu abhedaha. Bheda sahishnuhu abhedaha. Bheda sahishnur abhedaha. It is actually a, a distinction. It is a difference. But how is this difference? This difference is not seen as difference, is not appreciated. So it is seen as being non-different. Abheda sahishnu abheda. It is non-distinction. Tadatmyam is non-distinction. But actually there is a difference. Though there is a difference, yet it is tolerated. And that's why it is Bheda Sahishnu Abhedaha. Okay. We will try to understand this. Then further understanding this word tadatmyam would mean tad bhinnatve sati tad abhedena pratiyamanatvam. Tad bhinnatve sati tad abhedena pratiyamanatvam. Though it is different from that. Now the definition is speaking only in pronouns. Though it is different from that. Tad bhinnatve sati. Yet what happens? Tad abhedena pratiyamanatvam. Yet it is seen as being non-different. Though it is different, yet it is seen as non-different. Tad bhinnatve sati abhinnatvena or abhedena pratiyamanatvam. It appears to be one and the same. Where do we find this? The example of this is a crystal kept on a colored cloth. A crystal, a white, crystal is transparent. So that crystal ball is kept on a colored cloth. From distance, it appears as if that crystal is exactly the same color as its as the cloth. So if it is seen as a red crystal, hey, it is not red, the cloth is red, but from distance it appears as one. So this so there is a difference between the colored cloth and the crystal. Crystal is clean, clear, and transparent, whereas the cloth has some color. So where is the color? In the cloth. The color belongs to the cloth. It does not belong to the crystal. And yet from distance it appears the color belongs to the crystal. There is a difference, and yet that difference is not seen. Abhedena pratiyamanatvam. This is called as tadatmyam. So the Atma, the self, is the witness. Now understand this. We are using a step before Atma is Brahman can be understood. So this is, and the body-mind complex is something which is illumined, which is seen. And yet there is, what does one experience? That I am this body-mind complex. Though there is a difference, yet it is seen as one. I is identified as this body-mind complex. That's why it is tadatmyam. But is this tadatmyam valid? So it says, no, it is adhyasikam. It is superimposition. It is superimposed. Adhishthana vishamasatta avabhasaha. What is adhyasa? Adhishthana vishama satta ka avabhasaha. It is an experience. It is an experience of what is that? Adhishthana Vishama Satta Kavabhasaha. Both these objects are different. And not only that it is different, both of them actually belong to different orders of reality. Both of them belong to different orders of reality. What does that mean? It means just the same example as the snake and the rope. The rope has it has a reality, because you are going to say rope is there. Now, when you are saying is, that is indicative of its existence. Okay, it is indicative of the existence of the rope. So also we are using the snake is there. Who said? The person who now not known yet that there is what it is a rope. So person with ignorance is saying is there. So now that isness is seen associated even with the snake. Hmm, with the snake. So is there, and therefore now isness, existence is seen in both this rope as well as the snake. But is the snake as real as this rope? Then you will say no, because the rope has a transactional reality and the snake was apparent reality. Apparent reality means only an appearance. Pratibhasika satta. What is it? Pratibhasika satta. Like the swapnik padarthas, like the objects of the dream. Swapnik padartha. Pratibhasika satta. So satta is there with both. The existence is associated, seen associated with the rope as well as with the snake. But what is the case? The case is that the rope is a transactional reality, whereas the snake is only an apparent reality. It only appears. It appears to be real. If the snake was not seen and you did not have any reality associated with it, then why would you start running, screaming, or getting petrified by looking at that snake? So that proves that there is some degree, some reality associated. And what reality? It cannot be called as transactional reality, but whereas it was only an apparent reality. And over here, now what has happened is, though both of these objects belong to different orders of reality, yet under the ignorance, what has happened? The rope is identified as snake. The rope is identified as snake. So snake is superimposed on the rope. So there is tadatmya dhyasaha. It is a tadatmya. And why should even this take place? Because of ignorance. So he says, avidya nirmitatvena, anadya vidya. And this avidya is not something anyone has created. Generally, we want to blame our parents, we would blame teachers, educators, politicians, your siblings, or if nothing else, then you have got to blame as somebody to blame because of them. We say, no, sir, it is because why did this happen? Even in the case of that snake and the rope, because of ignorance. And in case of this, not knowing the self as Brahman is ignorance. And who started it? Nobody started. It does not have a beginning, it does not have a cause, and therefore it is anadi. It is anadi, beginningless, ignorance. So but though beginningless, the good news is that it has an end. It is not endless. So it is anadi, but not anantam. So thus, this avidya jnanam is there. Anadi avidya nirmitatvena, this complex is superimposed identification due to ignorance, and it is like the granthi, it is sitting tight. And so it is called as Granthi. Even this Granthi will be destroyed due to the knowledge. Tasmin drishte paravare. Thus, now we have the avadhi of Vidvatta shown by the Shruti. And that principle, this avadhi, this the threshold of Vidvatta, which is shown by the Shruti in this particular verse. How is it translated by Bhashyakar Bhagwan, by Shankaracharya over there? Dehatmajnanavadjnanam, Dehatmajnanabadhakam, Atmatvena bhavedyasya, Sanechannapi muchyate. Now look at that. So the avadhi, as shown by the Shruti, is exactly told by Shankaracharya, but the principle remaining same. How beautifully it is translated in these words. Okay. So this is what is the avadhi shown. Another thing is that, sir, you said said that all the doubts are also eradicated. What sort of doubts could be there which will now prevent the knowledge from taking place? Knowledge from taking place means which hinders, which obstructs the pramana from functioning. Because if the pramana is already present with you, and if there is no obstruction, the knowledge takes place. It is not a question of your will. There is no role for the will over here. The person's will is not at all valid when it comes to knowledge. It is not Purusha Tantram, the knowledge is Vastu Tantram. Now, look at that. Now, let us consider this example that we have this set of eyes, the Chakshurindriya in place, and the room is adequately lit. You have healthy set of eyes, and when you open the eyes, whatever is the object in front, red, blue, green, yellow, whatever that may be, square, round, whatever, and then when you open the eyes, the color and form of the object is naturally illumined. Is there any will? Oh, but I don't like to see red colors. So that's why. So when I open my eyes, I should not see red objects. If the red object is there, your eyes will definitely show you it is red. The pramanas function. They function not by the will, but they function because it is that order in which it functions. So also when the words, the Shruti, becomes the pramana, it will also function. All that we can do for it to function, and when it functions, the knowledge takes place. Just as when the eyes are open and the light is there in the room, the objects are illumined by your eyes, which means the knowledge it takes place. Like that, even with the Shabda Praman, when there is no obstacle preventing it from functioning, knowledge takes place. And when the knowledge takes place, Videha Mukti is its phalam. It can, nobody can stop it. So therefore, Bhashyakar Bhagavan said, Naichan apimuchyate. Even if the person didn't want, it will happen, the liberation will take place. That is glorification. So it is not, but I don't want to know colors and forms. You have eyes and there is world, I mean, the light in front of you, nothing prevents how it is going to function. The knowledge will take place. Like that, over here too, the pramanas will function, knowledge will take place. All the role that we have to play, all the sadhana. Now, there are two kakshas, there are two categories of spiritual sadhana, of the spiritual practice. One is preparation for the knowledge, and the other one is removing the obstacles of the knowledge. The earlier one is also in the same category, but it becomes like that, it functions like that, but this is little different. How? So, when you are thus living a life of karma yoga, what are we preparing? We are creating a conducive atmosphere for knowledge. Like what? Like by living karma yoga, life of karma yoga, we are generating virtues like Viveka, Vairagya, Shama. Shama means pacification of mind. Now, when will you learn how to stay calm, how to stay peaceful in spite of all the storm whirling around you? So you require a storm around you, and without that storm, how will there be this capacity even to, even without going to the gym, how do you expect that your muscles will gather strength? Are baba, it has to exert. So also now all the situations around us are meant to give us the inner strength. That inner strength will mean the person's ability to stay calm, to stay peaceful, to stay equanimous, even in the most trying situations. Okay. And this is what we have to learn. So, Karma Yoga gives us, life provides us with ample opportunities to do this. But a person keeps on missing these opportunities, and all his life is only spent only in cribbing, crying, fuming, fretting, complaining, so on and so forth. So now we should use it. Somebody is going to say good things to us, somebody is going to say bad things to us, somebody is going to appreciate, somebody is going to reject. All these things are bound to happen. And so Dama means Indriya Nigraha, to pacify, to calm down even the Karmendriyas, Jnanendriyas. We have to know how to, so thus Shama. So earlier part, even when you are not listening to Vedanta, this can, at least the spiritual disciplines of Karma Yoga will help us gather it. Then, with a calm, quiet, collected mind, what do we do? Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam. Okay. In So Vedanta is not heard, is not listened to, so that the mind can become calm and quiet. Are Baba, with calm and quiet mind, Vedanta has to be studied. In order to calm, it will happen, but it is, don't put the cart before the horse. That is not the mukhya phalam. That is not the mukhya phalam. Mukhya phalam is tasmin drishte paravare. So why is Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam? Through Shravana, etc., we acquire the pramana. And by doing Manana Nididhyasanam, what happens? The doubts and contradiction, which mean the doubt, which is an obstruction, samshaya bhavana, viparita bhavana, sambhavana, these things are removed. These are the obstructions. So, through Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam, the obstruction is removed. And through the life of Karma Yoga, what does one gather? One creates a mind which is fit for Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. And when all the obstructions are removed, the pramana is already there. Now knowledge takes place. And when the knowledge takes place, what is its result? Bhidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sarva samshayaha kshiyante chasya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. In seeing that what is higher than the highest, in knowing. So, okay. So this is what happens. And what is all this? This is the avadhi. This is the threshold of vidvatta. After which now there is scope for sannyasa meant for Jeevanmukti. But before that, the obstructions which are there in form of doubts. What sort of doubts could also be there? What sort of doubts can be there? Basically, at this moment, the idea and the experience with which we are living is that I am the doer, I am the knower, I am the, what do they call, experiencer. Kartaham, bhoktaham, pramataham. Huh? Pramata is not some sort of mata. Pramata means the knower. Pramatri becomes pramata. Okay, otherwise some Santoshi Mata, Lakshmi Mata. No. This is Aham Pramata, Aham Bhokta, Aham Karta. And everywhere you will see that, denser it is, the vanity, ego is even stronger. Stronger the ego means intense is misery. So this is what one finds himself as aham karta. I am the doer, I am the experiencer. And when the person starts listening and starts reflecting, whether he has heard the teacher or not, even if the person is a little introspective, even if the person is little introspective, what is he bound to find? He is bound to find by looking, observing at the experiences of life. I see that the body, mind, senses, pranas, everything is modifying. The only thing which has not modified is I. The body has modified from young to old, from healthy to sick, and sick to healthy. The pranas have modified from being hungry to satiated, to being hungry, to being thirsty, to being restless, to being calm. This is what pranas are also like that. And then what to talk about the mind? It is constantly altering. Your ideas change, your opinions change, your emotions change. Everything is on a swing. So now we see this is what is constantly changing. But this knowledge, I am, has always been the same. And therefore, this I is something different from all this modifying non-self. So now the distinction between the self and non-self will be detected even by a person who is subtle in his observation. He need not be even a student of Vedanta. If he is subtle enough, he is bound to discover this. Then another thing is that the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state, all of them come and go, come and go, come and go, and the all the states are illumined by the self. Therefore, this self is not something that is bound by the states, is not bound by Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Atma is not bound by Jagrat, means the waking. Swapna means the dream, and Sushupti means the deep sleep. The self is not bound by them, is present in them, but is not bound by them. And therefore, what happens? He discovers that this Atma is Sakshi. This is the first step. Now, what does earlier, what was he saying? The Atma, the self is Karta Bhokta. Now, what does he discover? On observation, he finds that this Atma is Sakshi. Done. So now he finds that this Atma is Sakshi. In the beginning, when it was said this Atma is Sakshi, he had a doubt. Is this Atma Sakshi? How can I be Sakshi? Because I am the Karta, I am the Bhokta. God can be the witness of my actions. But how can I be the Sakshi? How can I be the witness? In fact, that witness you are. But he does not know, and therefore there is bound to be a doubt. So various doubts are now presented to us over here. Atma Sakshi Kartava. Is this Atma the self that I am? Am I the Sakshi, the witness, or am I the doer? What is my status? What is my status? So Atma Sakshiva Kartava. Va is Vikalparthe. That Va means is expressing Vipratipatti. Atma va Atma Sakshiva Kartava. Is this Atma Sakshi or Karta? Karta means the doer. Sakshitve api. Now this fellow has concluded. No, truly Atma is Sakshi. Sakshitvepi asya brahmatvam asti vanava. Let this Atma be Sakshi, but he can't, can he be Brahman? Can this self be Brahman? Infinite, limitless. Because just as I am the Sakshi, the other person is the Sakshi of that body mind complex. The third person is a witness of that very, the third body mind complex. Like that, there can be a congregation only of all witnesses, and they are all individual, unaffected by the functioning of the body mind complex, and therefore witness. So all of them are witnesses. Sarvepi Sakshinaha, all of them are Sakshis, but then what we did not say that all. We are saying this Atma is one and infinite. Atma is one. Then how is this multiplicity of the self seen? So there is the doubt that is this Atma Sakshi? Even if the Atma can be proven to be Sakshi, is this Sakshi Brahma? Is it Brahman? Brahmatvam astiva nava? Okay. Say suppose even if this Atma is Brahman, even if the Shruti proves that this Atma is Brahman, yet tad buddhya veditum shakyate vanava? Is it possible even to know that what is infinite? Because whatever is known by the mind will have to be finite, will have to be finite. And this Atma, by the virtue of being infinite, how can it be 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 conceptualized, or how can it be held by the thought? Because for the thought to hold anything, the object must be finite. वृत्ति के घेरे में तो आना चाहिए. And therefore there is a doubt. Is it possible even if this Atma is Brahman, is it possible to know Atma is Brahman? Will it be known? And that knowing over here would mean knowing, understanding. So there is a cognitive function. It is a cognitive function. So what has happened now? Tad buddhya veditum shakyate vanava. Okay, then is known. And even if after knowing, tad vedana matrena muktirasti vanava. In knowing alone, is that just sufficient for liberation? Or along with knowing you require something more? Because all the people, you will hear this thing again and again, which is just iteration of ignorance and nothing else. Because they are going to say, hey, now you know Atma is Brahman, now you have to practice Atma is Brahman. What is that? So this fellow is what is he saying? Knowing is not sufficient. You require some form of action along with it for liberation to take place. So what is he saying? Jnanam is not enough. You will require some form of action. Karma, upasana, something is required, whether it is a physically performed karma or a mentally performed upasana. Some action, physical, mental, will. So therefore, one is theory, the other is practical. So without being practical, you are only theoretical knowledge. Atma is Brahman. We need something practical. All these things will be raised, and it is not something that some people are raising unnecessarily all the time. This is iterated, and it is developed as some sort of wonderful philosophies. And there are people also who are convinced and who follow. Why all these are? This is all what? This is all only in the category of samshaya. This is all in the category of samshaya. And what is samshaya? Only an obstruction to knowledge. Therefore, Atma Sakshi Kartava. Huh? Is this Atma Sakshi or Karta? Sakshitvepi asya Brahmatvam Astivanava. Let this Atma be Sakshi. But can the Atma be Brahma? Brahman? Then, even if it is Brahman, is it possible to know? And even after knowing Atma is Brahman, is that sufficient for liberation? Or you require some sort of practice? Let us practice I am Brahman. So who wants to practice I am Brahman? The one who is not Brahman needs to practice. Or Brahman needs to practice I am Brahman. What? Nothing. Tad vedana matrena muktirasti vanava ityadaya samshayaha. So the samshayas can be of this kind too. And what happens in knowing that all the samshayas means by removing the doubts which were already creating an obstacle, and later on, even if there are any samshayas raised, even if there are any doubts raised, those doubts are erased. Chidyante sarva samshayaha. Because now there is knowledge. This is the avadhi. Now, Achyutray Modak has provided some very interesting observation on this part of the text. Let us see that when we meet on Monday morning. So there is something more that I want to tell, but let us do the Shanti part and then I will talk about it. Om Yasya Nishvasitam Vedaha Yo Vedebhyo Kilam Jagat Nirmame Tamaham Vande Vidyatirtha Maheshwaram Vidyatirtha Maheshwaram Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaha Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shant Shant Shanti Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayinam Sutra Bhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmiti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Thank you. Well, the module fourth of